Hey, everybody, and welcome to the part two of a conversation about the Jersey Drone Show. We went so long last time that we've had to make a part two. With me again tonight is Rob.
The
Right there, you
Jersey
see.
Drones Revenge.
Okay, Revenge of the Jersey Drones. Are we
Yeah, that,
doing
that
like
sounds more.
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes? Is that what it's like here?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Maybe George Clooney will be included in this one as well. So,
I've heard there's a chance he might dial in.
oh well,
Dial in?
fantastic.
That's
I
showing
look
my age.
forward.
I guess he
I
would
look forward.
click
Yeah,
in.
he'll connect.
He'll connect.
Yeah, but yeah, he was in the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Anyway, enough of the silliness about that. But yeah, Rob's with me tonight. We're gonna continue our obviously in depth look into the Jersey drones, as we're calling them. Is that an official name? You think Jersey drones?
Jersey, I've usually New Jersey. So it's New Jersey Drones, I think
Do
is
you
the
have to
term
put
I
the
use.
new in there? Because you think people are going to
If you
get
don't,
confused that it's
well,
England?
you better put it an apostrophe if you don't put the new, just to so no one's confused.
Because Jersey is over there in the UK.
It's also t-shirt material, isn't it? I think. Could be
Oh,
drones made
really?
of fabric. Yeah, I believe
Could
so.
be
Jersey is a
fabric
fabric
drones.
type.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Maybe it is, and maybe they're just kites. Maybe we're really all on the wrong track here. It's just the Jersey kites, and then there's a lot of
Fabric,
there's a
fabric
lot,
and balsa wood.
yeah, there's a lot of guys drinking some 40 ounces on the ground holding the string.
I wonder if anyone's tried that, just waving their hand between the ground and the drone. See if there's
it,
any effect.
it could be. I mean, it gets windy out there.
It does.
So, so we did the quiz, and I must say myself, I think I did pretty well.
Um, trying to think back. We've had a couple of quizzes of late. Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, you did. You did pretty well. Yeah, I think out of the. No, you did. All right, you came back
Oh,
as a.
finally, I get finally.
So, I am I'm spinning a bit here thinking of the quizzes because they're just so they're ingrained in my brain.
Yeah,
But
I
no, yes,
finally
you
get a
did.
little bit of uh, validation here. So then there we go.
I don't know. You started off with the Dogman quiz and you nailed it. And I think about you as doing very well in the quizzes. So the quizzes that you have sort of tripped up on seem to be in the minority. So don't worry, you're always a quiz star to me.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate being a quiz star.
Quiz star.
That's what they
Speaking
always
of
say.
stars, many people think that these orbs that people are seeing with the drones are stars.
Hmm. Okay.
Well, misidentified stars. It's pretty interesting if you, and I've tried this and it didn't have success, but apparently if you hold your iPhone or smartphone of choice up to a star and zoom in, you get some interesting sort of light effects going on to make it look like it's pulsating or undulating or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's wild.
give it a try. Report back.
Well, the interesting thing to me about these orb things is because everybody always over zooms their cameras,
Yeah.
and then you're going to get that effect. So, well, I don't
Right.
know with digital zoom what because everybody's on digital zoom at this point. So who knows?
Yes.
I don't know.
That's at
Anyway,
least what people who are trying to say that these are not true photos of actual orbs, the debunkers that we've discussed at length, they
yeah.
say that it's just poor photography for the most part.
So, right. So yeah, everything. All this stuff boils down to poor photography. Do you think if we had like some kind of government funded photography classes across
Oh,
the
good
U.S.
idea.
that would solve this whole problem? Because every time they're like, well, these images mean nothing because they're so blurry and poor.
I had some ideas earlier in life that, if everybody had to spend 4 years in the political system to some extent, that we would have a country that was run a little bit better. But I think your idea of forcing photography classes
It might be
is a
better.
much
Yeah.
better. Yeah. And we'd have proof of a number of these things we'd like discussing by now.
And everyone would, their composition would be fantastic. Everybody
Really
would, you know, they would know the rule of thirds, right?
Oh yeah.
You
The
know,
rule
depth
of
of
thirds.
field,
Mm-hmm.
all of these good things. They would know what a cuculorius is.
They might, but I would not.
Oh, okay. Well, this would be things that we would teach.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I guess I'll look around at my
We would-
local.
We would have scrims and shims and all kinds of good stuff.
I'll stop by my city hall and see what they have to offer me.
Everyone would have a roll of gaffer's tape.
Now that I can get behind.
Can't go wrong with having a roll of gaffer's tape in your
Really?
toolbox.
If I had a nickel for every time I wished I had a roll of gaffer's tape.
Well,
Dot, dot, dot.
too bad the holidays are over. That would have been the perfect Christmas gift.
Is gaffer's tape extra sticky, or is it easily removed like painter's tape?
Ah, it's somewhere in between. So gaffer's
Okay.
tape is typically kind of like duct tape,
Mm-hmm.
but not quite as sticky and
Okay.
generally more cloth-like.
All right. So it's not slippery. You don't want someone slipping on your gaffer strip.
Well, it could be slippery, but it's not created to be slippery, you know, as far as I know. It's not alien tape.
I'm thinking maybe cloth is less slippery than typical duct tape.
It's a little bit textured, yeah, I suppose so.
For foot traffic, perhaps.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you're taping down cables and, you know.
Yeah.
With the gaff. Why they call it gaffer's tape is beyond me. Why they
Wow.
call him a gaffer? What is even this word gaffer? I don't know.
The first time
I'll
I
have to
saw
look it
that
up.
in the movie credits, yeah, I didn't get it. I still don't. But now
It's
I
like
know they use
best boy, you know, best boy.
Best Boy. I have seen the Best Boy as well.
I think that was a put down, and they just like, I'm going to put this on the screen. Best boy.
I think that was Batman's first sidekick before Robin
Best
came
boy.
along. Mhm. And then he went and
Yeah.
started a retail electronics chain. Oh, that's Best Buy.
That's
Sorry.
Best Buy, right?
Best Buy. I
Yeah,
confused those.
the best boy had an untimely demise. I think I'll find an acrobat. This best boy is not working out. So what's happened in this Jersey drone business lately?
Well, let me give you a little bit of a roundup that I accumulated here from, as you know, I've got a bunch of digital AI assistants. Digital, I guess they're just AI assistants. I assume they're digital.
Yeah, the analog AI assistants, they don't work very well. Yeah, I had a couple of analog assistants, and you have to keep winding them up and stuff. It's terrible.
They've got a sweater with AI embroidered on their chest.
Yeah, well, you could have analog assistants, I suppose, but
so this will bring you up to speed, I hope.
Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
As of yesterday evening, when I pulled this data, the FAA has extended restrictions, temporary flight restrictions, TFRs, for drones in New Jersey now until January 18th. In general, it says the situation continues to evolve, although I think mainstream media, for the most part, has given up on it and moved on to something else.
Well, we've got a fire to deal with now, so
yeah, right. They've got plenty to sink their teeth
into. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So drones are no longer able to fly below 400 feet or within 1 nautical mile of the specified airspace in the areas that have been identified. So if you have a drone and plan to head over there, be aware of that. There's still ongoing investigations. The FBI continues to lead them. Drone sightings, they say there's been thousands of reports. However, only about 100 reports were worth following up on, but still 100 reports of drones that cannot be identified. Not so bad. Public perception. I think this is pretty interesting. They say that a recent poll found that 78% of Americans believe the government is withholding information, and 53% consider them a threat to the country.
The government or the drones?
They didn't specify, but I'm assuming they are referring to the drones. I think we all know
okay.
government could be a threat to the country.
Well, I just
Whenever.
just wanted to clarify the way you said that. It could have went either way. So
And then of course the sightings continue. I'm not as deep in the Reddit rabbit hole as I was last time we met, but I do stop in, and there's still plenty of fresh video, fresh takes
oh
of
yeah.
people still posting things, showing things. I saw a very interesting one. They've got these beach cams set up along the coast of New Jersey that just point out into the ocean. I guess they're for surfers or just people who want to look at nature. But every day there's new pictures of drones, orbs, and yesterday I saw one where this light, and again, no one knows whether these have been created by somebody
Right,
who is
doctor.
bored.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it shows this little flash of light shooting from the ocean up into the clouds, like this really quick motion thing. And supposedly it was pulled from the public beach cam. So that's I like to let the imagination run a little bit and think, well, what if that actually is a real video? What the hell could that be?
Well, interesting thing. So, in part one of this adventure here, Jersey Drone Show, I went to make a graphic, an AI graphic inside Photoshop and with the Photoshop AI, and it would not make me one.
Really?
Because I actually put in that I wanted New Jersey skyline with a glowing orb.
And it wouldn't give you the orb.
No, so I pieced it together. Yeah, I mean, but I got the skyline, but I couldn't do it with the orb and the skyline, which I thought was kind of interesting. And this is not the first time that Adobe has foiled my attempts to make, easy and fast art. But it's the first time that I've tried to make one with a glowing orb.
Wow.
And it's said no.
Yeah, I've not experienced it, but there certainly is a lot of chatter about posts being pulled down. You better download this video quick because you're going to pull this post down. Has anybody noticed that there's a lot of people who are trying to throw, cold water on some of these theories without any basis of fact? It's fun to watch the back and forths because you've got the people that so want to believe.
Oh yeah.
And you've got the people who so want to debunk. And I just enjoy the volley.
Well, the interesting thing, what you just, the kind of the summation that you just made there, what I found was interesting was in certain areas, you said there's drone restrictions in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
What is there a map? Why these areas?
So I did not go to the map, but they did list the specific towns. These towns are counties.
Well,
they've got cool names.
Yeah.
Paulsboro. You ever heard of Paulsboro? South Kearney, Atlantic Highlands.
You do. They're
Middlesex. That's a good name.
Oh, Middlesex. Well, these are all pulled over from the UK. I did have a point of contact in New Jersey who told me that they got notice that they can't fly a drone.
Oh.
And did I tell you this?
I think so.
I think I said, so. Yeah. So they got, notified that there will be no personal drone flying in the area that he was living. And I'm trying to remember, I don't think he lives near the airport. I got to remember, but Christopher, he said he was telling, posting that there was restrictions, and I think that, but I just assumed it was a blanket restriction for the state of New Jersey for some reason. I don't know. In my head, I'm like, oh yeah, they killed all the drone traffic.
I don't know if I read it or I made assumptions, but I somehow thought it was related to their proximity to military bases, where they kind of put those restrictions in place. So that I'm not sure if it's
unfortunately, it makes them look more guilty. Doesn't it?
It does.
Doesn't it add to the fuel of they're not telling us something? Because you would think that it would be airports at the very least, which there's a big Newark is a huge airport in New Jersey. So but military bases, then that just it's like, is it flying in and out of the military base? Is that what's happening? I mean, they don't want to confuse theirs with yours. You know what? They don't want you to get better pictures of whatever's flying in and out of the military base. I mean,
It turns out that one of my AI assistants is available.
oh,
One of the
sure.
one of the
The
digital
analog
ones.
one? Oh, okay.
No, the digital ones. Yeah, the analog one is. I think they're watching
We
TV.
got his name's Cecil, and he's all wires and nuts and bolts, and he's ready to go.
Let's see. Several factors determine which areas are restricted. Airspace classification, so they can't fly in controlled airspaces without prior authorization.
Okay.
Oh, wait a second. I think they've
This
backed
just
out of
in.
the. And now this is. I've got to clarify with my digital AI assistant. They're not the brightest all the time. I was referring.
You said drone. I thought
Yes.
you meant bone. Yeah, you can't throw bones in the.
Just general drone restriction
Yeah.
to the current NJ drones. See if it refines its response a little bit here. Okay. It's apparently out for the night. It's giving me the same response as it did before it's got home. So let's not worry about it.
Well, these AIs, I swear, they're
Yeah,
in their infancy. They just they're fickle.
Clock in, clock out, 5 o'clock hits, and they
You may really
want
want to get that analog one. You
Gotta-
need to get that boomer AI that will
Gotta-
work through the night for you for nothing.
Hey, we still get the paper newspaper at our house. So I'm gonna run.
Oh
across
my
the side.
lord! What the hell?
I know. I pick it up every day from the end of the driveway on the way out with the dog. I throw it closer to the house. I pick it up on the way in. I take off the rubber band, put it on.
Oh,
the
you
pile.
actually. I'm glad to hear that you actually take the rubber band off, so it just doesn't go straight into the garbage after it gets inside the house.
It doesn't stack as well with the other stack of newspapers if I don't take the rubber band off. Makes the whole stack a little bit crooked.
Gotcha. Wow. I don't now this no wonder you're calling your AI assistants digital.
They got this new thing called digital.
By the way, do you have the hang crank to start your car while you're at it out there?
I do. No, I do not. I got a new car actually at the end of last year, so the car is no longer.
Oh, thank the Lord for that. You're starting to get arthritis.
My right shoulder is a lot larger than my left shoulder from bowling.
Well, but I think that's interesting. I would think that. So to me, another thing that says about the area is that they are concentrating on certain areas. So all the drones outside that area are the fake drones. And all the drones inside that area are the ones that they're really interested in, which may or may not be their own drones.
I suppose you could arrive there, but it seemed like it makes sense. Yes, they definitely, as far as the news has reported and as far as what I've seen on the Reddit threads, the only place that has put these kinds of restrictions in place, and certainly the place with the most of them, is New Jersey. So there is, at the same time, this is the one with what I believe to be the most and densest ongoing sightings. So in some ways it makes sense too. So
okay, well, I think this makes it all the more confusing because at this point, they didn't say, hey, everybody, don't fly your drones so that we can see the real drones, right? It wasn't one of those kind of things, I mean, even at Woodstock, they said, don't take the brown acid, right?
I wasn't there, but I've heard.
Well, I'm going from the archival record. Okay. I wasn't there either. But I'm just saying they made announcements that were logical in the sense that they were trying to help people, where this is like, don't fly your drones around here.
This is definitely not a fact-based perspective, but I sure heard a lot of complaining from local New Jersey politicians and law enforcement, and then they had some kind of a briefing, and then it seems like a lot of that sort of is sort of died down a little
Oh, yeah.
bit. That,
Okay.
and again, that could just be part of the news cycle where no one's really surfacing these things anymore. Maybe they're tired of saying the same things. But I had the general impression that once the folks in positions of power or rank were sort of given a little bit of what's actually going on, which I think most everybody, well, 73% of the nation believes the government knows more than they're revealing. That
Right.
they said, okay, we get it. We get it.
And then, well, okay, yeah. Let's just everybody
Could I
can
float
pump their own gas. Don't worry about it. Look down. Don't look up. We're all okay.
Let me float a theory for you. This came up. I think I finally did watch the last episode of the Netflix series with George Knapp. And that's where the concept of a lot of what we're seeing in terms of what we're terming as aliens or visitors from elsewhere are humans from the future coming back.
That's what you think, is that's what George Knapp thought?
This is the theory. So that my scenario starts with that theory, which was some guy he talked to, some professor at a university who was sort of floating that out and talking. It's interesting because the professor says that they've mapped the shape of the human skull over time, and they project it forward based on what the changes that they've seen since they started tracking that sort of thing. That the skull shape and eye position and size sort of mimic what is being reported from the grays.
Right. Yeah.
So if we start with that concept of some of what we're seeing or all of what we're seeing is actually humans coming back from the future, this is one of the scenarios in which I would forgive the government from holding things back. But if you think about how, at least in the sci-fi shows, time works, if you come back in time and you change something, there's ripple effects into the future.
Right. Yeah.
So if these are actually time traveling people from the future, they cannot be revealed to substantially more so than it already happened in their history. Otherwise, they're going to just screw everything up in the future, and who knows if they'll even exist.
Right. They're going, oh, Marty, don't mention the drones, Marty.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a Back to the Future type of a scenario, and so, the government's got to clamp down.
What do you mean we can't tell them about the drones, Doc? Oh, it's going to be bad news for you and your kids. Yeah, no, so, but the funny thing is you talk about that skull shape, and the grays and everything, but that would assume, right, that they believe there's grays.
Wouldn't the government, you're saying?
Well, this person that talked about
it. Yes, he's definitely he was, and they seem to wind up in, I'm going to generalize, states like Montana or some of the big. I know there's Jeff Meldrum, the whole
Idaho. He's in Idaho. Yeah,
he's in Idaho. Okay, yeah, I kind of can find those.
Which I always love to. I throw these in. I hope you enjoy them. I was at Jeff Meldrum's university this summer.
Right.
Yeah, I stopped there and looked at their paleontology exhibit.
Look at you.
But he wasn't there, unfortunately. No. I was told my wife, I go, I hope he's here.
That would be
but
weird.
He was not. He was not. And we ate at the McDonald's across the street.
Good story.
Well, but I was there. I was like, this is great. It was a very nice campus,
was it?
By the way.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was
Pocatello, right? Pocatello, I think is what it.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, Idaho.
That'd be a good quiz question if we ever do a Sasquatch episode.
Well, maybe in the future, yeah.
Yeah, and I have a Sasquatch.
Oh, don't talk about the Sasquatch.
I have a Sasquatch witness to bring on as a guest if we want to do that as well.
Yeah. Oh,
I do.
Yeah. Oh, I would love. Well, I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't love to see a Sasquatch. I'm debating now.
Yeah.
But that's another show. For this one though, I think the whole people from the future thing, right? Again, there's another interesting tie to New Jersey and people from the future. So Bell Laboratories was based in New Jersey, and this would be back way back, like in 1940s war era kind of thing. And supposedly during the war, and part of the reason why we possibly won the war was because they invented time travel at Bell Labs in New Jersey.
Ah.
And there's there's to this day there's these big monolithic utilitarian buildings in New Jersey where Bell Labs has changed its name obviously since then, and that's supposedly where this happened. Now, to further fuel the fire for that, it's like a war effort kind of thing to win the war. The fuel the fire for that is that the Nazis had the Glock, right? The Bell, which was supposedly a time machine that they invented, and were trying to win the war with time travel as well. And if you look up Die Glock, you'll find that there is a physical place that people say this is where they did the testing on the Glock. And do you know who was heading up some of that testing?
In Germany?
In Germany during the war? Supposedly.
No, I was going to try to think of a funny name, but nothing came to me. So I'll just say no.
Werner von Braun. And you know who Werner von Braun is, don't you?
I have definitely heard of Werner von Braun.
What a web I am weaving for you tonight. Werner von Braun is a Nazi scientist who helped bring the V1 rocket to fruition and bomb the shit out of the UK with Flight of the Valkyries, Death from Above stuff. And he is the mastermind of all the Apollo, Mercury, and Gemini missions.
Okay.
He was the head of NASA after the war. They nabbed him, they brought him here, and they forced him to work for NASA.
All right, then.
And I'm not, he was a card carrying Nazi and he was head of NASA. You can look it up. I'm not, that is the fact. That's not even a lot. The Glock stuff, who knows?
Right.
It is a fact. He was a Nazi. He was part of Project Paperclip. He came over here and he became head of NASA.
Now there is this makes me trust the government even more. And I watched this movie within the last year, the long movie about the super team of scientists that we assembled to build our own.
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer. Was he part of that project?
No. So he would have been after that, right? Because he would have been, if he came into it, it was at the end of it. They already had kind of got it together. No, he came in. The reason they nabbed him, they nabbed all these Nazi scientists. If you were to look at Project Paperclip, the numbers of scientists that we took from the Nazis was incredible. He was just one of them, but he was rocketry, right? So he built the V1 and was basically bombing the crap out of the UK during the war with these rockets, and so they wanted to have him, and Russia took some as well. It was a whole thing. They won the war and they divvied everybody up, and it's like picking sides, except that you're basically the loser and you get all the good people taken off your team,
the brightest and the worst.
Yeah, and so they all came over and were basically given immunity for their war crimes and put to work.
There we go.
Yeah, and the people who didn't get picked there were down in Argentina, but that's a whole other story.
Oh, you're peeling a whole new onion of other topics to cover. Heading down the.
Oh, it's a path, but the thing is, the interesting thing is that von Braun, he made the
Braun coffee maker.
Yeah, the Braun. Yeah, he made the rocket that took the Apollo astronauts to the moon, right? And that huge rocket, and I'm trying the V5, what was it called? Something 5, Mark 5, something like that. Anyway, I mean, this rocket it's the biggest rocket ever made. It still is to this day because they don't have to make them that big anymore. But And so he was involved in all kinds of technology, and he's tied to the Glock, which was the time travel thing, and the flying wing, and on into, you know, futuristic things like the B-1 bomber, right? So all that
Hmm.
stuff ties in. You can kind of pull it all back to von Braun's and his team, their knowledge base. It's never one person, but
Right.
he's kind of the face of it. So yeah,
Wow.
weird stuff. But this all could be, you know, Nazi technology that we've implemented finally.
Yeah, or if that's where time travel was invented, perhaps that's where the portal lies for travel.
Could be.
Again, back to these are sort of now that it's based under the ocean in the Atlantic, and they're just kind of
Yeah,
our
well,
ancestors are visiting New Jersey every night.
yeah, it could be. But I mean, who knows? But I think that to me, I always find it fascinating that if you know, World War II was a big shakeup for a lot of things. And I mean, a huge shakeup. And it also, that's the birth of the popular UFO is after World War II. You have Kenneth Arnold, who he was telling the story to the press that came up with the word flying saucer, because he said, I watched all these things skip across the sky like they were saucers on flying like saucers on a lake or something. And then you have Roswell, which was not too long after that. And that's the explosion of the UFO phenomena. There's UFO reports prior to that, but as far as like the modern day UFO, all started back then in the late 40s after the war. So, although Foo Fighters were during the war, so that's a whole other aspect. And those are the orbs, right? So Foo Fighters were never described as being physical objects. They were all
Right.
described as being balls of light.
Hmm.
So it's this also has a Foo Fighter quality, which is not just the band.
No, nor was you when you were mentioning the beginning of UFO. I was thinking of the '70s rock band. I was trying to remember
Oh, right.
what their
UFO.
hit song was.
They're Canadian, aren't they?
I think so.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
Canadian rock band. Yeah, well, there's
Hmm.
a TV show called UFO. If you ever watch, that's a British television show called UFO, which is oddly enough to tie back into last episode. It was Jerry Anderson did UFO TV show. He was the Marionation guy. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's all gelling. It's all coming
It's
together to be
all
in New
coming
Jersey.
together. It's a fruitcake of interesting, weird facts.
Yeah, but I think what boggles my mind is because I would say, so your parents weren't involved in World War II. They were probably born during World War II or after, but your grandparents were. And within two generations, you know, or so, three generations possibly. I have no idea how old you are, Rob. So, but
14.
it's 2 to 3 generations, we've lost all remembrance of what happened. You could ask if you went on the street, you know, kind of like a Jay Leno jaywalking kind of stupid thing,
Yeah.
and I said, if I told you the head of NASA when we landed on the moon was a Nazi, would you believe me? And they would say no.
No, yeah. Yeah, actually,
Isn't
my
that
dad was.
fascinating?
It's well, it just. I mean, it's happening in quicker cycles, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
These days, where things come in and out of the public view so quickly. Back then, it was propagated by a couple of radio stations and a handful of TV shows, and starting in the '60s, and now it's able to be
Right.
everywhere, virtually instantaneously. And then the next cycle comes in, the next wave of information, or the newest tragedy, or the newest whatever sort of wipes the old one out, and that's top of mind, and pretty soon it just kind of recedes back into the distance.
You mentioned that, and this is a little bit off topic. Well, actually, it's on topic in a way. It's totally on topic. What I'm going to say, if you think about it, is that I think at first when the internet came out, the government was very worried about it because it gave average people access to a huge amount of information, right? But now we're, 30, well, for regular folks, we're more than 30 years on. I don't, if you can you remember when you first had access to the internet? It was in the 90s more than likely.
Yeah, it was very slow and painful and involved a lot
Right.
of dial tones and buzzings and beepings and boopings. AOL online, things like that. Yeah.
You've got mail. So it's not been that long now, and but they're playing it against us. So now you get flooded with so much information, like
Yeah.
this Jersey drone thing. There is
Yeah.
so much out there that you cannot possibly, separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yep.
An average person can't you can't you go along with it. You either believe it or you don't, and it's very divisive. And I think that's what the internet has become for the politicos to use, is to let confusion reign.
Yes.
And it is the ultimate confuser, the internet, and it's working, unfortunately.
Well, the internet's just the conduit through which information flows, and there's so much
Right.
information that's available almost now instantaneously, and then pretty soon, folks like my AI assistants are going to be able to process information with the snap of a finger that would have
Mhm.
taken humans years to crunch through, and suddenly it's just going to continue to accelerate.
But
In fact, that's one of the theories, which one of my favorite. I'll get this real fast, and you can continue.
oh no, go ahead.
That the whole drone scenario is some sort of an AI that's just auto running. One of the coolest theories, again from a science fiction novel perspective, but who knows what's real and what isn't, is that we might have brought this up previously. So and this will give you an idea that I am not very young. Did we talk about last time where we had the concept of some sort of a alien race had visited Earth previously? This gets back to our conversation about the some of the things in Egypt, and some of the things that are the markings on various walls and caves.
Oh, right, the glyphs, right? The
glyphs.
The helicopter glyph and the tank glyph and all that stuff.
What's being triggered now is just some sort of a planet preserving technology that had been put in place, thousands and thousands of years ago, that we've not progressed to far enough as a human race to actually put the planet in jeopardy. And so they're being deployed to sort of make sure we don't kill ourselves and destroy the planet.
Everybody loves to do that. They always love to say they're, helping us out. I'm not. I don't buy it. I mean, if you want to help us out, do a little bit more. You know what I mean? I don't.
There's the consistent message that a lot of people who have claimed to have had direct contact talking about avoid nuclear weapons and be good to the planet is sort of the
sure.
Which is, and again, if you think about messages from the future that could be coming back from the people, future generations. And the trajectory that we're heading right now, what future Earth might look like, I could see that would be a good message to try to propagate back gently, without disrupting, the flow of time too much. Let's go back there and grab a person here or there and just whisper in their ear. You know what? You may want to do some.
Guess what? Lay off. Yeah. Hey, kid who's in grade school in Zambia, lay off the nukes.
Well, who knows what these people might, and this is where it kind of gets really intriguing. And again, it would be a great movie. But if you know that some scientist of the future who's incredibly influential, and you found out that they went to this grade school, or maybe there was 2 or 3 of them in that class that experienced that particular craft that I think you're referring to, that we've mentioned, I believe, previously. It's like, let's go there. And or maybe they just say, well, this happened, we got to go there. Or maybe they say, let's try to turn the dials even further. They were a great influencer, but let's go ahead and tell them this right now. Maybe we can make them take a few steps further, or maybe we could, I don't know.
I can tell you there's a hole in your theory.
Oh, there's probably
that. No, at least for today, you said the keyword influencer. Somebody would have come back from the future to tell Kim Kardashian to do these things, because there you have an influencer, Paris Hilton, Kylie Jenner. These
Yeah, but
people influence more people than any. I mean, can you
yeah,
even name a nuclear physicist yourself?
but who do you want to influence though, right? Do you want to influence the
Uh,
people?
but it's the future. You already know who the people are who are influencing millions of
Yeah.
people. And
I've got
so
to think
you're
there's
not
not a
going to
lot of.
go, Albert Einstein, don't do relativity. No, you're going to tell these people, these knuckleheads that are, making stupid videos that are influencing a whole generation of people. It's going to end up on the Real Housewives, and in the middle of it, Kim, what's her name? The child actress Kim. I can't think of her last name right now, but she's going to say, "Nuclear weapons are just terrible."
Well, maybe, but I could also make a case to counter your point that
Okay.
there's probably not many people who are studying to be in the advanced sciences who are watching those programs or following Kim Kardashian. So if you do want to try to influence people who might be involved in some of the career tracks
Mm-hmm.
that might actually be able to do something about it versus me sitting on a couch in my living room, then maybe you would choose somebody who has a
Yeah,
more selectively that way.
but again, Putin. It's my whispering in Putin's ear. I mean, he seems the most likely to use one today. What about poor Truman? Truman's the one who said drop the bomb.
Well, if they ever visit me, I'm going to ask them these questions.
You're going to say, why me? Why me? That would be my first question. I know that I would be, some people, maybe it's just, what do you want to call it? It's the way you were raised or however you want to put it. But if they came to me with that, I'd be like, why me? Why are you telling me about this? I have no consequence in this.
All will be
they're like, Bob,
revealed.
you're going to be so influential in the future. I'm like, yeah, right, whatever. Okay, I'm really lazy, and I'm not going to do whatever you're telling me to do.
Come on now, let's talk about static radio's reach. Who knows? These are going to wind up in some sort of a
exactly. Well, funnily enough, I can tell you, I know 3 people that listen to the show in New Jersey.
There we go. We are. I'm sure we are enlightening them.
Frank, Manny, and Christopher, you're listening. This is all for you guys.
So did you hear this interesting fact that the gentleman who exploded his Cybertruck in front of Trump Tower in Las Vegas had sent an email that they are, I guess, referring to as his manifesto, but there was a lot in there about the drones, New Jersey drones.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. He had sent
interesting
an email.
Is that as close as he could get to New Jersey?
So he's trying to raise awareness about what's actually going on through these. He was supposedly involved with some sort of suitable of war crime charges activities when he was in the service, and he wanted to sort of bring some of this to light. But in addition, I kind of summarized some of the quotes from his email that he sent, that it has not been officially validated by the FBI that it did come from him. So there could be some sort of a trying to pretend that it did. But the FBI says that they do believe that it did. They just have not completely confirmed it yet as of yesterday. But it says what we have. This is from the gentleman's email. What we have been seeing with drones, quote unquote, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China in the East Coast, but throughout history of the U.S. Only we and China had this capability. China has been launching them from the Atlantic for submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it's just a show of force, and they're using it similar to how they use the balloon for, and I don't know what these acronyms stand for, SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comms system. There are dozens of the balloons in the air at any given time, blah, blah. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft, they are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. So if we believe the Cybertruck driver guy,
Mhm.
he's saying this is advanced technology that we and China have, and that China is essentially thumbing their nose at us by flying it over. Where the future president has this golf course just sort of saying, hey, don't ban TikTok.
Right. Yeah. My for whenever people say, stuff like that, and they have these manifestos and everything, they got caught. They got caught, right? And it's like, as soon as you get caught, your credibility drops way down. So I
Well, he
think
was
he
supposedly being followed by, he believed, by the Department of Defense, and so he sort of sent this
still,
email because he didn't think he was going to make it to out of the country. And he,
yeah,
I mean, who knows? These are just fun. That's
diversions. I know.
fun's a terrible adjective to ascribe to, to something like what happened with him and this note that I just read. But these are just interesting
Tidbits. Yeah.
tidbits that you could form a theory around. Or this wasn't one of the joyful ones where they're playful orbs helping to bring us to higher levels of spiritual awakening.
Right. Yeah.
This is,
yeah.
essentially China having technology that can bring the U.S. to
That's what
our knees at any given time.
the Hale Bop guy said that we're going to get spiritual enlightenment, and then everybody just died in their sneakers. The but China has hypersonic missiles. Why would they have a floaty orb and helium balloons or whatever the hell flying over when they have a missile that can break the sound barrier? We have hypersonic missiles. I mean, this is published at this point, and so it's like, why? Again, it's very confusing because there's so many other things. We have energy weapons, for Christ's sake. Why not just use an energy weapon? You know what I mean? It's all very confusing.
You could ask why, but I don't think you'll ever get a straight answer.
No, well, there you go.
Yeah,
and maybe that's why we don't believe the government.
To as much as you talk about information overload, there's some sort of a quote that I heard. It was some Russian scientist who was giving a lecture or speech. Gosh, it's probably close to 15, 20 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that the most devastating weapon of the past, I'm butchering it, but the most devastating weapon of the past was the nuclear bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And now the most devastating weapon is information.
Right. Or misinformation.
Yeah, or the misuse of information. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's and a lot of that, you think about what's happened with social media or what you just said. The truth is probably floating out there in one of the many threads that I've read on Reddit. But how would you ever sort that out of anything else that we've read? And now I'm sure that the government employs plenty of people that where their job is to go into these areas and throw people off base and discredit things.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Lou Elizondo's job was. Yeah. He was a misinformation specialist, and everybody's taking his word for it.
Yeah, now believe me. I'm telling the truth.
But yeah, I know back then I was lying to everyone because it was what I was getting paid for. But now I'm telling the truth. You know what I mean?
It is. It's you could I don't know. Some people can just without question not prop any odd theory up. I like to prop odd theories up because it's fun. I enjoy thinking about it and trying to put the puzzle together. But at the same time, you could also very easily just pull anything down. And that's why you kind of watch the back and forth that happens on these Reddit threads where there are people who, there's a range. There's folks that are going to believe anything that is associated with aliens and try to make a case for it and get mad at anyone who says anything that they're not. Then there's those who will never believe, or at least this is how they come across, and do their best to. And then there's folks that try to sort of sit in the middle, and I consider myself there, and sort of look at both sides and figure out, okay, where's the truth in all this, if there's anything at all.
Right. It typically is always in the middle somewhere. I mean, the funny thing to me is, and I've gotten in real life, I've gotten chastised for using this as an example, although I do still feel it's very true, is our behavior as humans doesn't change that much as we age. And if you take two little kids and something has happened and you set them down and you try to get the story, right? And they don't want to get in trouble, right? You're going to get this crazy story that's going to be very conflicting. And somewhere in the middle is the truth. And you can just take that and bring it all the way up to US and Russia. It's the exact same behavior. It's as two 6-year-olds who broke a vase. You know, one's like, I don't know how the vase broke. And the other one's like, this gorilla came in and he said, I hate vases. And he threw it on the floor. I mean,
Yeah.
And I've utilized this in the real world, and oh boy, do you want to make people mad? And because then all they hear is you're saying that I'm a child. In a way, yes, I am.
And that I don't know,
child.
And that I don't know the truth. Yeah, and they're convinced that whomever they're against is the one who's wrong. And
exactly, but it's all the same to me. And that's my position. I'm sticking to it so far.
All right, I got some very important questions for you. Are you ready?
Oh no. Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah. All right, give me a number.
Any number or
any number?
37.
Any number. Okay, I was thinking of that number. That's kind of freaky, but go ahead. Give me an adjective.
I feel like this is going to be improv games. Adjective is climbing.
Climbing is not an adjective.
Oh, it's not?
Well, it works. So yeah. Let's go for it.
Ted's climbing the rope, isn't that?
That's an
action,
verb?
though.
That's a verb. Yeah, that's all right, okay. But it works.
An adjective. Let's say. Let me give you a real one.
We're moving on to climbing. Climbing works.
All right.
A noun. Just give me a noun.
The Pentagon.
Oh, I like that one. Pentagon. Okay. A color.
Is this like Mad Libs? Fuchsia.
How do you spell it? Fuchsia.
Fuchsia.
I heard fuchsia with a P.
Oh, I'm sorry. Fuchsia.
That's me. A verb ending in ing, so like climbing.
Like climbing, but a different verb. Running. That was too simple.
Give me a silly name.
Cucalorius.
Cucalorius.
We'll do that. That's a callback.
Very good. A noun.
Another noun?
Yeah, another noun.
Driveway.
I like that, driveway. Good. An adjective, another one of those.
Okay, I'm going to get a real adjective now, like a descriptive thing.
Mm-hmm.
Round.
A place.
I feel like I'm on a 60s game show now. The password is what was your question now?
A place. We need a place.
Oh, a place. Mount Rushmore.
Quite stately places you have here.
Well, we're talking about the government.
Lastly, an emotion.
Oh, an emotion. Envy.
Well, there's some breaking news on the New Jersey drones story. Just came to me from my AI assistant. Last week in New Jersey, a group of 37 witnesses spotted something climbing in the night sky. The mysterious object, which looked like the Pentagon with fuchsia lights, was running at high altitude. Local resident Cucalorius grabbed their driveway to record the event, but the footage came out looking like a round blob. Experts say similar objects have been reported across Mount Rushmore, leaving witnesses feeling extremely envious. So I cannot validate whether that is an accurate report or not, but it was hot off the wire. I felt I had to relay it.
Film at 11.
Film and grainy videos at 11.
Is that like an AI Mad Lib thing?
It was. I sent one of my assistants out to do a New Jersey drones related Mad Lib.
Oh, okay. Because Mad Lib is, I think that's trademark, so maybe we can't call it that. But
let's call it something else. Let's call it Drone Lib. No, it doesn't. Very
Yvonne Brondit.
Braun Lib. Werner von Braun Lib.
Something like that, maybe.
Something like that.
Too funny.
Well, I don't know. Maybe I figured it was worth a try.
I liked it. It was very enjoyable. I was worried there for a moment, but you know,
Did you hear about
I think it worked out.
the
Did I
plane
hear?
over Miami that struck something? This
No, I
isn't a
haven't heard
joke.
about this.
Oh, so this is definitely in the realm of drone as well, but in actual real news. At 27,000 feet, within the last few days, actually, a plane was flying over Miami and experienced engine damage that they report. They
Mhm.
report it as an incident versus accidents. They don't have to go out and report too much of it, but it appears to be that it was struck with a metallic object at that, and there were no other known aircrafts in the
Mm.
vicinity that anyone knew anything about, and certainly at 27,000 feet was not any kind of a consumer drone. So
Right.
that's been a bit of a hullabaloo in my source channels.
Wow, I had not heard that. That's
Yeah.
incredible, incredibly interesting. And they also mentioned the fact that it was metallic.
Yes, they said that is the damage done indicates that it was a metallic object.
Yeah. Well, not a satellite.
No, probably not. Or a piece of a
What
satellite,
else?
perhaps.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it
I
could have been
do.
something falling, some space debris that just happened to hit, I guess. But
Uh,
in the
chances are the World War II pigeons that they used to they tied bombs to and sent over enemy lines, the homing pigeons. They may have had helmets, but I think they're all dead at this point. So it could have been one of them.
right, yes.
Yeah.
They don't. They'd have to have some sort of maybe some sort of a bulletproof pigeon vest.
Yeah, they had. I think they put a little. They outfitted them. You know, as a military, you got to have a code. You know, you got to look nice, dress whites and all that.
We have discussed owls and silver shoots previously, and now we got to get pigeons and military
pigeons and in vests and helmets. Yeah. No, it's interesting. I'm surprised that they even mentioned that because that's just but again, it could be just feeding the confusion because by saying that it hit something metal, specifically using the word metal, then that denotes something that's either at that height has to be man-made, but they're saying it's not another plane, not a helicopter.
Yeah.
And so then now the mind wanders. So, and it didn't destroy the plane. So again, so it wasn't something that was obviously shot at the plane or something like a missile.
The FAA confirmed to AIN, which is the publication, that a Gulfstream G550 experienced a midair collision with a mysterious object at FL-270. I guess that must mean 27,000 feet, doing the math here, in Miami airspace on December 11th. During a flight from Fort Lauderdale to New York. According to the statement,
okay, interesting.
The jet diverted to and landed safely at Palm Beach International Airport after the pilot reported striking an object in Miami airspace. And Ryan Graves is the one chiming in on what he believes has happened here.
I was going to say, I couldn't remember his name, but that's the guy who was flying things over the Atlantic and saw stuff.
Yeah.
Ryan Graves. Yeah. He was doing whatever missions or practice or whatever, and they would see stuff regularly. Yeah.
The whistleblower is concerned because this altitude is highly regulated Class A airspace that requires flight plans and transponders, but in this instance, there were no flight plans for the object, and the object was not squawking a transponder code. We can largely eliminate the possibility of common objects, including pigeons and vests. A weather balloon would have been transponding. This altitude is too high for hobby drones and illegal for any drone. There is no biological indicator of a bird strike. Oh, so much for the pigeon. And video of the engine video shows metal damage.
So that's interesting because but as we know, the transponder thing is out the window because
I'm very disappointed. I downloaded the app Flight Radar 24. I was very excited because the very first helicopter that flew over, I saw right away it was one of those medevac ones.
Right.
But the police helicopters don't show up, apparently. There's some helicopter that we've had around our house that is not showing. And so I had one of my assistants run out and do some research, and they said that sometimes it could be a combination of them just not being equipped with them, or they might turn them off for stealth purposes, which I thought was
Right.
kind of funny. Okay, there's a helicopter circling, and we don't know that there's a helicopter circling. They must be chasing some sort of something that they can't hear
Right. Yes, right.
because they're pretty loud and disruptive.
Yeah, they're really. But I have I hear one weird story for you on that note, right? So helicopters that you can't hear.
Mm-hmm.
I had an experience. I always tell these things, and then afterwards, I think he doesn't believe me. I was outside. I lived at a different house. Actually, I lived at the house where I saw the thing in the sky. But I heard a helicopter, and it was close. Like it was, bah, 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 really loud. Could not see a helicopter anywhere. I assumed at the time, I still assume that it was some type of pseudo stealthy helicopter that they were just, it was nighttime. So they were just, didn't have any lights on or anything and just flew over, but they weren't, they were dark. They were doing instruments only or whatever. And just happened to go over where I lived. So, but it made the noise, but there was absolutely nothing to see. And I mean, it was like the helicopter was right above me.
Yeah, I don't. Crazy. I mean, believe me, I don't doubt anything. I believe it 100%, and I will, because for whatever reason I embrace this sort of concept. Simply because I'll experience something that often turns out to be nothing, but I will immediately just sort of say, "Oh, it appears that person I just saw just sort of appeared on the other side of the street without me noticing it." And then I'll happen to look and say, "Oh, okay, there's a person just similarly, and the person is still on my side of the street." But I am constantly, I think, hoping to experience something that's a little bit less than normal, and subsequently am willing to accept things. Not that I will fight to argue that actually something strange did happen, but I will take it in without any kind of question, and then try to process, okay, what just happened there?
Yeah, and this would be before Flight Radar 24, but it was a weird experience, and I was assuming basically it's some type of they fly at night, doing practices to be stealthy, as stealthy as a helicopter can be, with all the noise. But
I've heard in a couple of different places that the military has had the capability to have, trying to think of the right word. I would assume it could be applied to any kind of an object, but essentially clothing that bends light.
Oh right, yeah. They have. The poor man's version of that is online. It's essentially a version of a Fresnel lens. So a Fresnel lens is a prismed lens, and they use a lot of Fresnel glass in lighthouses, big Fresnel glass, and so basically it bends light around you so that you could be behind it. Have you ever seen these little demonstrations online?
No.
So it's like a piece of glass that would be, probably like 2 foot by 3 foot. And then you put it down and you just go behind it, and it looks like it's not seamless. I mean, there is anomaly, but if you weren't paying attention, you'd be like, there's nobody there.
Yeah.
It basically bends light around you.
Yeah. There's a whole classification of cryptid-like entity called the glitter man, where it's some sort of a vague outline of a human that's seen in various places by people, and there's a lot of theories it's just the military kind of going out and doing some real world testing of some of their technologies.
Yeah, wild stuff.
Out in situations where they will I think I remember some strange story where someone's child was on their big wheel who got sort of for one person it's an angel. For another person, it's a military person who's testing out their equipment amidst the population.
The weird thing, it was Tommy from the Overlook Hotel in the wintertime.
It's riding
his big wheel down the hallway.
I didn't finish the story, but yeah, the concept I was about to give up on it until I realized I didn't actually come and explain the scenario properly. Whereas the kid was saved from some sort of an accident by being
Oh,
lifted into the air with someone sort of vaguely saw the outline of a human. And so
okay.
they classified it as maybe it was somebody in some sort of cloaking technology, whereas somebody else who might have a more of a religious perspective might consider that
Oh, right, an
someone's
angel.
guardian angel came and saved the kid, or
How interesting.
yeah,
Yeah. Red rum, red rum.
no problem. I like the book better than the movie, but I did enjoy the movie.
Yeah, it's a weird movie. Come here, Wendy. I'm not gonna hurt you.
Yeah, I don't read much anymore, but I read a lot when I was younger, and
Yeah, well,
very seldom.
you lose that verve for reading as you get older.
Well, I read enough in my daily activities where reading for pleasure is
They've killed it in you.
I yes and no, but also I do things like this in my free time, which just feels a lot more, I don't know,
Oh, okay.
active and energy it scratches the energy itch to get to accomplish something, I guess. Sitting and reading a book is hard for me to feel like I've ticked something off the list.
Well, you got to count the pages. You're like, I read 50 pages tonight. Goodness gracious.
I got through 50 pages
I'm
tonight.
smart. Oh my god. So do you think we've kind of tackled the Jersey Drone show?
I think until any further definitive developments happen, we need to move on from the drones to something else.
And our ultimate analysis is that it's people from the future who look like gray aliens.
Definitely. I think we've pretty much we came to that definitive conclusion, and anybody who says anything else is obviously just a government disinformation agent.
Yeah, it's Valiant Thor, and he's come back to give us some more good news. So
Valiant Thor. Oh, is this must be a Marvel reference? Okay.
no,
No?
it's an alien reference.
Oh, okay. I thought there was some Marvel verse. Marvel verses? That's not the Marvel verse, is it?
The Marvel Cinematic Universe, yeah, MCU.
Okay. MC. Yeah, well, I left out a little bit of that, but no, I thought there was
Yeah,
some
that's
character
okay.
where Thor comes back from the future, and you were just
He's,
referencing.
yeah, he's Valiant Thor. No, Valiant Thor is an alien. If you throw it into your AI, and you'll see that Valiant Thor has a pretty deep. He's been debunked a couple times, but some people still believe he was really an alien that came and visited the government. And there's
I will look him up.
even a picture of him.
Did he have a hammer?
No, he had a suit.
Were there big yellow circles on the front of his suit?
Nope, just I think it was a Brooks Brothers.
Helmet with wings?
Nope,
Yeah, okay.
60s haircut.
All this is very disappointing.
Yeah,
He does have a cool name.
yeah, he's got a great name with a very humble look. He's playing it for all he's worth.
Who's the gentleman we were discussing in a previous episode with the big grin? He came down and talked to the folks.
Oh, Ingrid Cold.
Yes, Indrid Cold.
Indrid Cold. Yeah.
Duh. Yes.
Yeah, that was the Indrid Cold. Yeah, he was from the Mothman.
Well, I think I should probably stop saying this, but we may have discussed this previously. But one of the running jokes in my house is when we see somebody's last name, it just seems that doesn't make any sense. It's like the aliens didn't pick a very good last name.
Right.
And for a while there, we were seeing a lot of folks that were in the government. There was one guy whose last name was Good Latte. Like literally, G-O-D-L-A-T-T. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, they're trying to fit in, but somebody's pranking them when they put their identity together.
That's Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. Every one of the aliens is named John, and then a terrible last name. So John Smallberries and John Big Booty, and yeah, yeah, I could totally see that. Makes sense. I wonder what these drones are named.
Oh, that's a good question.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
We'll add that to the episode show notes if we figure that out.
Well, what's next on the docket?
What is next on the docket?
Are we going to leave it as a surprise till next time?
Yeah, I would say just to check back to the channel, right? We'll list up what the next one will be.
Big things are brewing. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay tuned.
Or small things are brewing that we want to be bigger. How's that?
I think that's more apt. Yeah, that probably describes it a little bit better.
Well, thanks, Rob, and everybody. Stay tuned for more things to come,
Always a pleasure.
and always watch. Look to the sky.
All right, keep your eyes, at least one, to the sky.